Maybe instead of enjoying Christmas and Halloween, what you enjoy doing is ruining the fun for everyone else. That's your holiday. Your Santa Claus is like some ISIS Santa Claus who just comes and says everything's haram. We are approaching. Am I okay to say we're approaching the spooky season? And I take Halloween very seriously, so don't fuck with me on this. I mean, if you're not American, I understand if you don't get it. But I really believe in Halloween. Like, it's my favorite holiday. It's my favorite season. But I want to... there's actually a serious reason why. I'm going to make Halloween, in addition to celebrating it and stuff, I want to talk about what Halloween opens my eyes to and what topics I think about the most on Halloween and things like that, you know? Well, it's pagan. No, Halloween is very important. I'm going to explain why. So, I remember telling you guys that story of that Halloween party I went to, which, like, I almost had, like, a schizophrenic episode because it was so satanic, and I was like, holy shit. It was like an eye-opening revelation. You know, to me, I think the Halloween season, if you are such a brainiac and you need some kind of way to supplementary enjoy it, you know, when you go on a haunted hayride, you need to be thinking about something type of thing. The thing I love thinking about for Halloween is the best time for thinking about conspiracy theories, for thinking about satanic elites, for thinking about Freemasons and hoods sacrificing. And I think about it in a really in-depth way, especially Freemasonry. I mean, I remember 2019 Halloween. I did this huge deep dive into Freemasonry and the whole thing about the French Revolution and the origin of modernity. And I'm not a right-winger, so I didn't go with that narrative. But I was still spooked by it. And I really looked into it and really thought about how, you know, there's something really crazy about the modern world in the sense that we know that there's established religions. We know that there's Judaism, there's Christianity, there's Islam, there's various sects of Christianity. And these are established religions with established conventions. But there's this strange hidden religion which takes the form of esotericism and what's called the occult tradition of the West, which genuinely does seem like it takes a departure from Christianity in somewhat of a spooky way. I mean, when you think about Freemasonry, for example, just thinking about the fact that Freemasonry is taking a radical departure from Christianity, and it's really this nascent new religion of the bourgeoisie, because that's what it is. It's the religion of the bourgeoisie, the deism, the Freemasonry, the Luciferianism. And that is actually a full-blown religious system. And it's occult. It's hidden. It's not allowed. It's not a mass religion. The other religions are mass religions. This one isn't. So on Halloween, I want you to walk around and see all these pentagrams and satanic stuff, which I enjoy very much. I love Halloween. It's my favorite season. But I want you to look around at that stuff and think to yourself, like, we put this up as a spooky, scary decoration to epitomize our fear and to have fun with our fears. But think about the idea of Luciferianism or even Satanism of some kind. I mean, something arguably worse than Satanism. Because here's the thing about Satanism, right? I'm not talking about Anton LaVey, but if you're like a Catholic who's fearful of Satanism, well, rest assured, a Satanist still affirms the metaphysics of Catholicism or of Christianity. So they're still Christians, they're just being a little bit naughty, so to speak, right? But when it comes to this new deistic religion of the bourgeoisie, which you can look at it in terms of theosophy, you can look at it in terms of a lot of other things, it's a full-blown religion. It's like a real religious system that goes even beyond Satanism. We call it Satanism because when we read our holy books, it seems like they were warning about this. Like Islam, it seems like it was warning about this kind of outlook and position that was based on a false sense of certainty in relation to God right? Not certainty of God, but certainty of things at the expense of faith in God, which roughly corresponds to the bourgeois rationalistic outlook. And then when you look at Christianity, this position that's based in worshiping, the pure worldliness, devoid of any spirit, devoid of any transcendence. Thank you, Coda. It kind of warns of these things, right? So Halloween, we should think about this kind of stuff, and it makes Halloween more. It's not just that it makes Halloween more fun; it's that it's a hell of an experience to just kind of have fun and experience the season through that lens. I love Halloween. People say, Haas, how do you love Halloween? It's such a satanic holiday. And I say, we live in a satanic society. And the time where we openly acknowledge that fact and it's all out in the open and on display, there's something about that I find true. Something about that I find very authentic. And I love it. I love being able to confront fear in a fun way. I love the morbid and the scary and the terrifying. See, it's kind of I've always been like this my whole life, actually. I've always had a fascination with the terrifying, right? But that's a bad thing because I'm a Islamic Arab. So I guess it's not good because it's kind of like terrorism, right? It's just like a bad combination. I'll give you an example of my outlook on my feelings on this topic, right? I'll give you my outlook. Do you guys remember in 2016 the scary clown epidemic where there was just a bunch of scary clowns that were roaming like everywhere, and there was clown sightings, and there was like clowns showing up, and then everyone would be, oh, there's a clown here, and they'd all drive to it to find the clown. And then there was like clown sightings at college campuses, and everyone would get together going, fuck that clown! And it was really cringe how they got together to do that. Am I the only person who thought it was really cool that random people in their spare time were making the Halloween season that much more exciting, enriching, fun? Do you know how much I would kill to be able to be like in middle school or in high school with my friends and know that there's these like clowns that are running around and the adventure of finding them? And that would be so cool, right? And even when I was in 2016 in college, I'm like, that is so cool. There's literally scary clowns walking around, and it's so mysterious and it's so interesting and it's so cool, right? And I'm the only person, I would ask people, I'd be like, it's kind of cool, isn't it? I'd be like, no, I'm really scared of it. And I'm like, but isn't being scared fun? Isn't there fun in that? Isn't there some fun? And that's what Halloween's about, Am I the only person who had this mentality or maybe I'm wrong for having it, because maybe those clowns were actually serial killers and maybe they were going to kill you. I like to think that they were just people who loved Halloween a lot and they were just kind of enriching the season. But there's the possibility is there that this is another way to think about it. It's like most people find clowns very terrifying. So when they dress up that way, they're actually trying to terrify people in order to inflict harm on them. And that's obviously not a good thing. That's not a good thing. But that's not how, I wasn't looking at it that way. They were all trolls and all that. That's what I was thinking. And if that's the case, then why was everyone... Because I would see people say shit like, oh, if I see those clowns, I'm going to beat their ass. And I'm like, but why? What really did they do wrong, You want to know some shit I was triggered by in college? This was early in college. So I'd be going to Halloween parties in college. My first time experiencing college Halloween. And, I'm someone who's I've loved horror movies. I love Halloween. I go to these college parties. And by the way, I'm in Michigan, the spookiest state in the country, one of them at least. So the atmosphere and the environment is there. I go to these parties, and what are the parties? Dudes dressing up as SpongeBob, or hot dogs, or just stupid gimmicky nonsense, drinking beer and doing beer pong. And there's no pumpkins, and there's no skeletons, and there's... What the fuck is that? That ruined Halloween for me for a long time. You know that? That ruined it. I would walk around, and everyone would be wearing a costume that was meant to make people laugh. You fucking pussy. You're a pussy. This is not a comedy season. This is not a time for laughs. This is a time for us to explore and bask in the darker nature of ourselves and society and even humanity at large. And I would see these people wearing these... A guy would dress up as a Bud Light beer can. Literally, fuck you. You loser. You just want to make your friends laugh. And oh, everyone thinks I'm funny, huh? You're a fucking bitch. Fuck you. Thank you, CO. So that shit triggered me. But you know what's crazy? The older you get... Apparently, I was too young. Because actually, people like in their late 20s agree with me. When I'd go to Halloween parties thrown by people like in their late 20s and early 30s, it'd be the best vibe. It'd be like they'd have the... I don't know what to call it. It's like the dark Halloween. It's like it's not like for kids, but it's like pumpkins and shit, and it's like classy and well made, and that's actually what I appreciate. I actually appreciate it. I was too young, you know, young people. It's so crazy how immature people are. College is an extension, not of high school, of middle school nowadays. A college student is like a middle schooler in terms of their psychology. They're so sheltered and so immature, and I was actually shocked by that when I was in college, you know? I was like, damn, nobody really matured, you know? You know something? I'm going to do the quartering thing, and then we're going to move on to a more serious topic. I'm going to do the quartering thing. You know the quartering, the guy with the neck beard who complains about wokeness? I actually think wokeness is ruining Halloween. It legit is. And it's unfortunate. I'll tell you why it's unfortunate. Because there's two... This is what made me think of the two-pincer theory of American culture. It's like the extreme American evangelicals ruined all the fun of Halloween for a lot of people growing up, right? So, like, they would ban Halloween. He's, oh, you can't celebrate it. It's satanic, whatever. So, Halloween enthusiasts tend to be very leftist. And then on the extreme end, you know, that's, like, very much virtue signaling, flying the pride flags, and being very woke. Being very woke. And on the one hand, I'm going to tell you something. On the one hand... When you go to a haunted house and it's run by these like woke pronoun people who are really uptight about the wokeness shit, a part of that is reassuring. And you want to know why? Because a haunted house that would be run by conservatives probably would actually be scary, like in a non-fun sense. Like I could see like you actually getting killed. Because conservatives are supposed to be like good Christians who are in church and whatever. So like it is kind of reassuring that like in a haunted house, if an actor is running at you with a plastic knife and you're just like, hey, faggot, and then they stop and they're like, come on, man, you can't say that. Come on, stop the homophobia. There's something very reassuring about that in Halloween settings. Like these are not monsters. I mean, well, they're not like wild animals. They have some kind of, you know what? Do you guys get what I'm saying with that? So like that's why it's not that bad, but at the same time, they lean too much into it and it ruins the whole season. I think it's just best to be neutral for Halloween's sake on that. I don't think the LGBT should be banned from Halloween. I mean, how could you? But don't make it like about... It's not about your gay pride or your trans pride. It's not what it's about, right? Halloween is about the dark side of America. Well, not too dark, but you get what I'm saying, right? What am I dressing for as Halloween? I don't know if you guys could tell. Um, I know it might be hard to tell. I have literally one costume. I have one costume, and I got the costume in 2019. It's the only costume I have. And it's the costume of the Ertugrul warrior that I got in 2019 that I ordered. And it was pretty cheap. It was like $100. And I think that's pretty cheap as far as costumes go. That's the only costume I have. So if I dress up for Halloween, I bet, what else am I going to wear? I don't have anything else. I've always wanted to like be like a big sultan for Halloween. Like, I think for 2017, I even had this idea. I wanted to be a sultan, but with a giant turban, like a huge turban bigger than my wingspan, like a giant turban, like a huge one, right? And then I would dress as like a sultan, but I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find anything for that. I looked and I couldn't find it at the time. Maybe it's changed now, but that was what I wanted to be before. Speaking of the Ren Fair, it's kind of fun to be woke. See, all people who are in culture and entertainment are leftist leaning. There's almost no conservatives who are working at the Renaissance Fair, who are running haunted houses, or as far as I know at least. Now, people who enjoy these things tend to be conservatives. Yes, but the people who work there and set it up tend not to be conservatives. And I also wouldn't say that they're necessarily bourgeois. A lot of them tend to come from working class cultures. And that's completely fine, honestly, you know? I don't really have a, like, it's not the same as like a fucking Yale or college libtard necessarily. It's more like, you know, there's two kinds of blue hairs, right? There's the college libtard blue hair, and then there's the misguided blue hair person whose like dad is MAGA, whose brothers are like fishing, complete rednecks, whatever. It's a totally different, if you get what I'm saying, it's not the same thing. You know, you have to be a lot more patient with, and it tends to be females actually, from working class backgrounds who get really into the leftist kind of stuff. You got to be patient. You have to always see, this is why I'm principled. You have to always look at the class content of a given ideology or outlook or culture. There's always a specific class content, okay? The libtard from college or the libtard from the city, not your friend. The libtard that works for Google, we're going full Pol Pot, right? But you know, the weird liberal who's in your local diner at 5 a.m. or some shit alongside all the MAGA people, that's a real thing too, you know? And they tend to be women. I really mean to say when they're women, you have to be patient. If it's a man, they don't really exist. You know, it's kind of a thing. But this is just my observation. Everyone's coming around to MAGA, it seems like, you know, even those types. Everyone seems to be coming around to it. Nobody's going to be out here saying, oh yeah, Joe Biden. You know, the COVID shit was the biggest divide. Families that are still together that have different political opinions, I feel like they've either been divided and they're no longer a unified family, or they are a unified family, but they're like all MAGA. There's just that one might be a Jimmy Dore fan, one might be a Trump fan, one might be, I don't know, a Russell Brand enjoyer. Whether you're a hippie or you're like a traditional right conservative, you both hate the jab. You're both against the vaccine. And that's a real thing, you know? And this is a developing phenomena. Yeah, one might be a Haas fan, but they're all united by completely being outside of the Joe Biden establishment. That's for sure. Even a lot of leftists, and I mean this in the bad sense of the word, even a lot of them do come from MAGA families and are already aware of the fact that they're like, yeah, you know, they're like, yeah, I'm a they them red lib who likes Hakeem, but like my dad is MAGA and my mom watches Tucker Carlson, and it's like we all agree fuck Joe Biden, right? Even that's becoming a thing. So, you have to prioritize the class content. It's not about ideology, it's about the class content. That's always going to be the most important thing. This is why we place class at foremost importance. We don't place your stance on woke ideology at the foremost. And you want to know why? Because there's a lot of working class people, women in particular, who don't really understand what that's all about. And they just think, oh, you just mean let's not be judgmental and let's be understanding. Because let me tell you something. I feel like the working class is split down the middle in a lot of ways between the people sucked into the evangelical scam of these mega churches which are completely corrupt, evangelical churches that are just feeding people a pile of bullshit. And then there's the working class Americans who are like aware of the hypocrisy of the evangelical scam and are very against the preachy kind of I'm better than you, holier than thou mentality, And obviously we are for the latter, not the former, okay? We are for the latter, not the former. We are happy that people are not being sucked into this satanics. And that's what it is. It's satanic. It's completely satanic, actually. I love True Detective because it points out how the satanic ritual abuse worshippers, the Tuttle family, were also running the huge mega churches, the evangelical ones. And it's like, that's who they were. And they didn't even believe any of it in reality. They were actually satanic. Code Along! What's up? That's kind of one of my Halloween journeys, if you will. One of my Halloween journeys was solving the riddle of the French Revolution. At face value, it seems like the French Revolution is a satanic conspiracy by the Freemasons to overthrow Catholicism and completely institute a satanic regime and destroy Christianity forever. And at face value, it looks like that, right? But like any good Halloween movie that is about uncovering a conspiracy of some kind, I started to learn, because I really did my research on this, and because it really bothered me mentally, because I was a communist, and I had some cognitive dissonance, like, holy shit, was the French Revolution actually, were the reactionaries correct? So I did a lot of research exploring this on a spiritual level, on a level of actual research for purposes of historical knowledge. And what I uncovered was something that left me far more enthusiastically appreciative of the beauty and novelty of the event of the French Revolution, even than before. Like, all of my confusions were totally dispelled, and some. And I'll explain why. Because what I discovered was actually way more shocking. I discovered that before the French Revolution even happened, Christianity had already been subverted. And the ancient regime, the elites, were Satanists. They were practicing Satanists, doing it behind closed doors. And they were enamored in mysticism and the occult, and all of that nastiness actually came before the revolution. And all the revolution did was just expose it into the surface. And while some of these elements at first supported it to establish a constitutional monarchy and just be it an assertion of the interests of the oligarchy over the absolutist rule of the king, it became very clear to me in the battles between the factions of the revolutionaries, the Jacobins versus the Girondins, I don't know how to pronounce it, that was like a holy war that was going on, like a fight, a battle with the Antichrist itself. It wasn't between the peasants and the Vendée and the revolutionary regime. It was within the revolutionary regime that the battle against Satan was going on. And when you read Robespierre and you understand what his faction represented and what they aspired toward, you come to realize that there was such an innocence of this revolution and of this newborn republic. And they were targeted by every power in Europe. They were the subject of conspiratorial intrigue from every direction by Satanists. And Satanists are the ones who are attacking the Republic. And actually, the Republic is itself the real restoration. Because during the late Middle Ages and the early modern period, somehow Satanists completely subverted Christianity and they subverted these civilizations. And so the Republic was actually a restoration. And this is what I learned. And I learned how Robespierre was very almost naively fighting for exactly what he said. He was fighting for a republic of virtue. He was fighting against the corruption. And he was fighting for the common man. Very simple things. You know Desailles? Desailles is the real degenerate, right? Did you know that what Desailles describes in his writings, who is the founder of erotic sadism, right? Did you know that what he described in his writings, French aristocrats were actually doing before the revolution, and they were getting away with it? Did you know that? I didn't know that until researching it. And one of the things people don't appreciate how much the French Revolution was a breath of fresh air. And it seems like it was a satanic conspiracy because it exposed the satanic conspiracy that nobody really knew was going on. That was at the very top. The French Revolution flushed out the Satanists. And there was something very authentic and very genuine and sincere about people like Robespierre and the countless ordinary French people and peasants who took up arms to defend their homeland, fighting against all of Europe. Every single major European power invaded France. And it's like, if the French Revolution was a conspiracy by elites, how do you explain that? This was a newborn republic that French people, they woke up to, and they didn't have all the answers as far as the implications of this for metaphysics and religion, but they sprang into action and shed their blood and gave their lives to defend it. There wasn't conspiratorial elites doing that. It was ordinary people fighting to defend their newborn republic, which was their power, which represented them. And you have to understand how traumatic this must have been. They got rid of their king. And why did they get rid of their king? They got rid of their king because when they realized their king was conspiring against them alongside foreign powers, the Austrians and the Habsburgs. And they didn't know, they were going into it blind. It's like, we don't have a king anymore. And they don't have all the answers. There's this huge vacuum and this huge confusion. And yet they are certain of the fact that they need to defend their homeland. And they need to defend the power that they've built, that they have, however imperfect it was. It's almost like, you know, when Trump says we have to shut it down and figure out what's going on? When he was talking about the Muslim ban, he was like, we need to shut it down until we can figure out what's going on. That was the French Revolution. That was what the French people said. They said, listen, we beheaded the king. We've uncovered this huge conspiracy against us. We need to shut this whole thing down. This whole monarchy thing, this whole whatever, shut it all down until we can figure out what's going on. Because the Austrians are attacking us, the British are attacking us, they're conspiring against us, and we need to shut it down until we can figure out what's going on. You know, in a way, Robespierre was like a Trump, you know? He was like, we need to shut it down and figure out what's going on. We need to find out all of these ISIS sleeper cells lurking to conspire against our republic, you know? This is what I thought about many Halloweens ago, you know? And I think that's why I like Halloween. I think Halloween is a time where you face your fears and you may discover that the thing you fear is actually what's innocent. And actually, the bad guy takes the appearance of an angel. That's what I like about Halloween. It's like, confront your fears, question them. Americans fear communism. Communism is more spooky than all the skeletons and jack-o'-lanterns in the world, right? It's very scary to people. There's a literal red scare. I mean, Halloween is very relevant to us as a holiday when you think about it, right? But it's a time where we can confront our fears and enjoy them. Enjoy them, first of all, but second of all, I think, like every Halloween movie, there's an archetype. It's not every single one, but there is an archetype where it's like you're being haunted by a ghost. Let me tell you this is Halloween communism. This is Halloween communism, okay? I'm going to explain to you the communist nature of Halloween. Ready? It's the archetype you find in movies, where you're being haunted by a ghost. And the ghost is scary. Go, stay away from me, ghost. It's a scary ghost, right? But lo and behold, and you're living in a house, in a manor, let's say, and there's an old man who lives there, or an old woman, whatever, and there's a ghost, and it's haunting you. Oh my God, this is so terrifying. And it's scary, and it's skeletons, and there's coffins, and all this stuff, and you're getting spooked. But as you progressively enter into the depths, and you go into the depths of hell, and really, really go into the extent of your fears and go into the darkness, what you discover really surprises you. You discover that this ghost that's haunting you is trying to send you a message, and it turns out the ghost is like a little girl who was raped and murdered and buried in the backyard. And the old man or the old woman is an actual evil fucking demonic Satanist. And the ghost was just trying to warn you. Or the ghost was just trying to tell you what happened so they can rest and get justice. And then at the end of the film, the ghost can finally rest and be at peace. So like everything is the opposite of what it seems, right? And that is exactly the specter of communism. It's a scary ghost in America, but it's a ghost, just like in Marx's time, a specter is haunting Europe. Well, what was the specter that was haunting Europe? It was the souls of all of those peasants and all of those people whose livelihoods were killed, and they were herded into these factories, deprived utterly of everything, and basically turned into beasts of burden. And that was what the specter was. It was the ghost of civilization, of the common humanity that was killed by the arrival of capitalism. And that's all the specter of communism was. Yeah, exactly. No way out but through. That's the wisdom of Halloween. No way out but through. When you go to a haunted house, I want you to... Don't ruin the haunted house. Have fun there. But think about it like a haunted house. You got to go through the haunted house. When you're young and you're going to a haunted house, and you're like, I want to go into the exit. No, you got to go through. You got to go through. No way out but through. You understand? So that is the relation of Halloween and communism. And it's such a shame I'm not giving this speech in October. I should be giving this speech in October. But I want this to be the introduction to the season. Because I'm a big Halloween fan, as you can tell. And before we have fun, I want to actually explain to you why it's an important season, at least to me. When you ask me, what's the significance of Christmas? Well, am I going to piss anyone off if I say that Christmas has very little to do with Christianity and is just the Yule season festival, and it's actually not about Christianity? Am I not allowed to say that? And you want to know my proof? My proof is, when I first took my first breath, my family celebrated Christmas like anyone else. We had a tree. We did all the Christmas festivities. We had Santa Claus. We would go and enjoy Christmas. We'd watch Christmas movies. We'd have a hot chocolate, and We would do we wouldn't put a Muslim twist on it. I know there's some like really cringe shit I've seen where it's like they're trying to make Muslim Christmas and they're like, I don't even want to say it because it's blasphemous, but they're like, na 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 fa la 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 la, but it's like Muslim prayers. La ilaha. I don't want to. It's really cringe. We didn't do that. We actually just celebrated Christmas normally. We didn't have crosses and we didn't go to church, and that's it. But otherwise, we had the same Christmas experience as anyone else. And you don't have to. Christmas is fun. It's fun, but I'm just saying it has nothing to do with Christianity. It's the Yuletide holiday. It's a celebration of the winter solstice. That's what Christmas is. So when you ignore the aspect of the religious, stuff that's attached to it, when you ignore that, because like in the same way that Halloween is a secular holiday, so is Christmas. It's like a similar thing, right? So when you ignore the direct religious connotations of Christmas, what is the meaning of Christmas? Like, what's the deeper meaning of it? Maybe there is one, but it's like, it's hard for me to appreciate it as compared to Halloween, right? Christmas, I guess it's a celebration of the end of the year. And maybe that's a way to think about it. The preparation for the transition into a new one. Thanksgiving is a great holiday. Thanksgiving's a great holiday, but leftists canceled it because actually the real story of Thanksgiving is shut up, nobody gives a fuck. Nobody cares. Can people hang out with their family and have turkey and have a nice festivity? I mean, for God's sake, everything has to be ruined. Thanksgiving's a great holiday. Pumpkin pie is goated. It's kind of a depressing holiday to me, a little bit, just a little bit. I'll tell you why. Because it's still the fall season. It's just it's no longer Halloween. And that's a big shame. That's a big shame. The most depressing day of the year is October 31st because it concludes the Halloween season. That's just the truth. I actually think Muslims really like Christmas more than Christians. That's actually my experience. Muslims actually like Christmas more than Christians do. Don't ask me why. I don't know why that is. They do, though. They really do, and they really go hard for Christmas. Like, they really love Christmas a lot. I don't think it's just the gift giving. Like, Muslims really like getting cozy for Christmas and having a tree and having lights, and they like the beauty of it. That's what they like. They like how sparkly and shiny it is. That's what it is. I'm gonna explain to you really fast why Muslims like Christmas more than Christians. Ready? This is why. But I'm not going to repeat myself. I'm not going to further elaborate or explain myself. I'm straight up just going to say it, okay? Ready? The reason Muslims love Christians so much is because Islam is a religion that attempts to unite transcendence with immanence. And as much as people talk about how Christmas has become so commercialized in America, becoming so materialized, that's actually something very appealing to Muslims because Muslims believe in the transcendence, the immanence of transcendence. They don't reject transcendence of Christianity, but they immanentize it and believe that the spirit is proper to the world. So when they see this commercialized holiday of a bunch of shiny lights and bright lights and spiritualism manifest spirit made flesh in some kind of way, it's very appealing to the Muslim aesthetic and the Muslim sensibility. Muslims love the fact that Christmas is commercialized because it speaks to the immanence of spirit in the world. Whereas if you're more kind of fundamentalist Christian, this is something you might be disgusted by because you think it's abasing the spirit and you think it's abasing transcendence. Christmas is haram. I don't care, bitch. No one cares. You can say that. You can say that, but it's like there's reasons we accepted Islam, like as a people, right? And if it was people, if the prophet was anything like you, we wouldn't have. Like, there's a reason we accepted the religion. It's because it's compatible with our human sensibilities. If it wasn't, we would have rejected the message. because we wouldn't have been able to know if it's true or not. Like you're saying, oh, I don't care, dude. I don't care. It's like saying Halloween is haram. Like, I don't, okay. I'm still gonna fucking enjoy culture. Yeah, it's some Londonistani dumb shit. Yeah, it's called culture, dude. It's like, oh, the Chinese New Year is haram. Really? Really, is it? Or maybe you're just a fucking... Maybe instead of enjoying Christmas and Halloween, what you enjoy doing is ruining the fun for everyone else. That's your holiday. Your Santa Claus is like some ISIS Santa Claus who just comes and says everything's haram. Instead of giving you presents, he takes things away. And instead of eating cookies, he chops your fucking hand off. Yeah, like a Jihadi Grinch, but worse. That's your holiday spirit. That's your holiday cheer. And you don't, yeah, the reason you think Halloween is haram is because you're actually the fucking scary ISIS jihadi who's coming to blow people up and shoot them for violating your fundamentalist commandments. You are you're not even like, you're too much on the nose as far as Halloween's concerned, because you're actually like terroristic in your ways. You know, like if you go to Londonistan and you're like, oh, are we celebrating Halloween? You'll get your Halloween, because the way they're going to stare at you. Astaghfirullah, what did you just say? And I reached for my knife and I thought whether I should kill him or not. Motherfucker, that's scarier than any jack-o'-lantern, right? It's just not a lot of fun. That's just not a lot of fun. It's scary. It's on point for the season, but it just ain't a lot of fun, you know? It's just kind of actual year-round Halloween. That's what it is. It's a year-round Halloween that they have in Londonistan. You gotta watch yourself, because you don't know if what you're doing is haram or not. Uncle Tom Muslim here. I'm an uncle. First of all, what does Christmas have to do with like the greater jihad? I just want to know, like I'm selling out to the enemy for being an American, participating in American culture. And you're, well, by your logic, I should fucking leave America then, dumbass. Uncle Tom Muslim. That's so crazy. Uncle Tom. You know what's funny about these fake jihadis? Because, you know, actually, jihad is a good thing. So I call them fake jihadis. You know what's funny about these fake jihadis? These faggots, and that's what they are literal British dogs. They're literal dogs of British intelligence. They're literal prostitute, faggot gigolo who rent out their booty hole to British intelligence. And they come to us calling us Uncle Tom. When these motherfuckers were invented by the fucking white man. You were invented by him. You bitch. You just applied your, like, fucking demonic Calvinism to Islam and call it and then call us Uncle Toms for being normal human beings. Oxo, literally, his booty hole belongs to Britain. His booty hole belongs to the British king. And he's calling others Uncle Toms. The whole jihadis was created by Britain. What are you talking about? Who's an Uncle Tom for who? You know, if the Ottoman Empire was still around, they would celebrate Christmas and Halloween. Did you know that? If the Ottoman Empire was still around, they would celebrate Christmas and Halloween. If the Mamluk Empire was still around, they would celebrate Christmas and Halloween and have fun. You know that? The Safavid Empire was still around, same thing. Same thing. They would, you know? They would. They would. Maybe even those Bedouins in the desert would be hanging up Christmas trees, having fun. Maybe they would. Who knows? There's no telling. But the British came with their Calvinist party pooping, and they ruined it for everyone. Yeah, they still sell it. People somehow think Islam replaced all civilization and culture, which wasn't the intention of Islam as a religion. And also did not ever happen historically on any level. Even after Islam, people preserved a lot of aspects of their culture, their traditions, and their civilization. Because here's the thing. Religion alone cannot account for civilization. Just like how religion alone can't account for how your intestines work, right? How your digestive system works. Now, obviously, God created your digestive system. I'm not denying that. But whether you accept Islam or not has nothing to do with whether your digestive system will work. And in the same way, civilization is not premised purely on the basis of religious belief. That's why you can be Muslim, and I think you can be Muslim and also have Confucian values. That's what the Hui Muslims have in China. They obey the Confucian values of China. They're part of the Confucian civilization. Because Confucianism isn't really a religion in the same sense Christianity, Judaism, or Islam is. Confucianism is a wisdom of civilization. And that is compatible with Islam. Look at the Hui Muslims in China, right? Okay, you know what? Amiri, can you ban this fucking retard? He just keeps spamming. He's not going to join the Discord. He's a faggot. Probably going to kill himself. There's no reason to even bother with it. That guy's going to kill himself in like 5 years. I'm not happy about it, but it's just, how could I fight them when they're going to just actually they're going to not only fight themselves, they're going to end themselves, okay? And, what can I do? I just hope he doesn't do it in a way that, goes, boom! I hope it's not like that. I hope it's just himself. And no one else is taken down with him, right? But, yeah. Bah!